Hey everybody, this is Kyrun Silva from Taurus Comics, along with my partner Danny Quick from Fourth Wall Production. We're glad that you checked out this podcast. We hope you enjoy it, and we hope you like, share, subscribe, do all those great things to get those numbers up and get more people to listen into this episode of Four Tales Podcast. But in the meantime, please check out our websites. My website is tauruscomics.com, and you can check out Danny at fourthwallpros.com. And now, on with the episode.
I want to know what it is Quick is trying to say.
Welcome everybody to the first ever Two Blurs, One Comic podcast.
Whoa.
I am your host.
Whoa.
What?
No, sir.
What?
No, sir.
What?
We are not doing that.
We talked about this. You said you'd be all right.
I did not. I did not say I would be all right. Okay. See, you're already starting off bad.
All right, fine. Let's start over then. Welcome, everybody, to the first ever Four Tales podcast. I am your host, Kyrun Silva, with my co-host,
Danny J. Quick. That's a lot better, sir. Thank you.
All right, fine. I'll go with that. But, I really feel like Two Blurs, One Comic had a better, marketing way of us getting attention. People would be like, what the hell is that all about? And I don't know, man. I just felt like
I don't want to set expectations up for people and then not be able to deliver. So I'll just leave it at that.
But you always deliver.
No.
You and Short Fuse, you guys always deliver. So this is going to be
not
no
like
different.
that. Not like that. Sorry.
Oh, all right. Okay, so what is this comic podcast about? Well, I am a comic writer and artist for Taurus Comics. Danny is a writer with Fourth Wall Productions. We are both comic creators and lovers, and we are here to talk about comics. Now, we're probably not going to be the type of podcast where we go over is Superman better than Batman, or can Batman beat up Superman with enough time, which he really can't, but let's be honest. No, he can't, but that's a different podcast. That's not what we're going to do here. What we are talking about is what we love about comics, our production steps in making comics, and we're going to bring on guests here and there to also talk about their love of comics and how they bring you comics. Now, since this is our first podcast and probably a lot of you don't know us individually, I figured we can go back and forth and maybe introduce ourselves, talk about how we got into comics and things like that. If you're okay with that,
I'm down.
All right, so I guess let's start with you, since you said you're down.
Oh, man.
What got you into comics?
No, like Kyrun said, my name is Danny J. Quick, and getting into comics was weird for me because I didn't read comics growing up. I got the stereotypical, I grew up in a rough city and we didn't have comic book stores, story, and I started reading comics as an adult. I picked up when I moved out to Durham, North Carolina. I kind of, started picking up issues here and there, but I always watched cartoons. So, when I got deployed to Iraq, I was writing stories for a character called Ace Blade that me and a friend came up with. And then when I came back, it was like, all right, now that I've written these 100 chapters, what should I do with them? And the next logical move was to make comics, and I just love it.
Now, you said that was cartoons that got you into comics in a way. What was the first cartoon you remember watching and just getting into?
Oh, man.
And why is it X-Men? Because it better be X-Men.
It probably was X-Men, but I think I remember Ninja Turtles more earlier. Okay. I think I'll tell you a funny story that you might not know. I actually split the back of my head open off of a April Fool's joke. So I don't remember what channel it was on, but I was sitting there. My mom was getting her hair done, and I was sitting there waiting for Ninja Turtles to come on. And the commercial said, "Oh, we're sorry, Ninja Turtles isn't going to be airing today." And I got angry. You know how little children do. They throw their head back, right?
Threw
a tantrum because Ninja Turtles wasn't coming on. I threw my head back and I split the back of my head open. And then they said, ha, April Fools. But by then it was too late. I had already had my head. My head was bleeding by then.
It's too late. You almost died.
I almost died. So my mom rushed me to the hospital. They had to literally staple my head closed. And, I ended up missing Ninja Turtles anyway. So that's like the earliest memory that I have of watching cartoons.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's terrible.
All right, your Ninja Turtle story is a lot better than my Ninja Turtle story.
I still want to hear it.
No, you really don't, but fine. I mean, like most kids, I grew up watching Ninja Turtles in the early 90s, 80s, whatever. And I had 3 friends in my neighborhood, so we would all go around as the Ninja Turtles. I was Leonardo, my friend Ransom was Donatello, my friend John was Raphael, and my friend Lorenzo, he was Michelangelo. But we actually went a step further, and we started picking up things around the neighborhood for our weapons. So, like, I found some sticks, and I was like, yeah, I got katanas. We got some one of those garden tools, and they were our size and things like that. But we didn't have anything to fight since we were all Ninja Turtles, and there was just the 4 of us in the neighborhood. So we decided, you know what, we're going to fight everything that we see in the neighborhood. Cars, buses, trees, whatever. And there was this gigantic tree near my house, and we were like, that's Kang in his gigantic suit. So we started fighting this thing, and we were like, we can't get him. Let's throw our weapons at him. So we started throwing the weapons in the trees. And next thing I know, one of my katanas, air quote katanas, got stuck in the trees. I'm like, oh no, he stole my katana. So I'm gonna throw my other one. That one gets stuck. My friend's like, I'm gonna throw my sai. Sai gets stuck in the tree. So before we knew it, all of us threw all our weapons into the tree. And this tree was like a good 10 feet, 20 feet.
Can't got all y'all weapons. Now what you gonna do?
Yeah. And we were just standing there like, oh shit. We don't have any weapons. And then my friend was like, that's my mom's garden tools, man. What am I gonna do? She gonna beat my ass. And I was like, oh, my bad, man. My bad.
Terrible.
We'll get it down somehow. So like every day after that for about a week, we started throwing rocks and shoes and anything we could get into the tree to get his mom's garden tools down. He got beat, but we finally did get it down. But he got beat a couple times.
Terrible. That's how kids do, though. That's how kids do, though, man. We don't be thinking about the consequences of stuff. We just, this is fun. Let's do it.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, we grow up sometimes. Sometimes as adults, we store like that, though.
Oh, man.
All right. So you say you wrote Ace Blade. What was the origin of Ace Blade? Like you said, you were in Iraq or Afghanistan?
I was in Iraq. I was in Iraq. And,
okay.
I don't know. You probably know, but most people don't know that the actual first publication that came out for Ace Blade was a novel. So I wrote, I had written 30 or 40 chapters of a novel, mostly while I was in Iraq, and then when I came back and started working for the Department of Veterans Affairs, I cleaned it up, and I didn't know anything about making comics. I'm not an artist. I'm not blessed with that skill.
I've seen you draw a couple things though. Don't put yourself down like that.
Not to the level like y'all are. You and Michael and all them, y'all killing it. So,
well, Michael's a lot better. No. I'm still learning. I'm still crafting my stuff.
But I decided to at least learn the process of making comics through going to comic book conventions and meeting people. And then one thing led to another. We finally got that first comic book put out. It was terrible, but it's just part of the learning process. So, and we're gonna keep learning and growing.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, and that's I think everybody's first couple of comics are terrible. I mean, my first issue was Shaman's Destiny, and I wrote and drew that on my own, even colored it. And I did it off a whim. Like I knew nothing about making comics, and I just said, I'm just going to make one. Because my wife was like, you've always drawing, you always loved comics since you were a kid. Why don't you just make one? And I was like, well, we're going to lose money off of this. She's like, yeah, just make one, and at least you can say you did it. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. So then I started Googling how do you make a comic, and I didn't realize how easy it actually was. I mean, there's definitely a lot of steps to it. There's a lot of technical things to it, but it really is pretty easy. You draw everything out, make sure it's the right size that the printer wants, and then you pay the money and they get you a comic.
Make sure it's the right size that the printer wants is an underrated step.
Yeah. And then my first issue was horrible. I had a general idea and I just started drawing stuff, and I was like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just going to draw it until I get 20 pages and then, do whatever. And the only thing I had in my mind when I was making this comic was the beginning, which was the opening scene of Malik the Shaman. If you've ever read Shaman's Destiny, I wanted him walking in some desert-like thing. And then I had the ending with him getting killed. And I was like, I have no idea where I'm going to go from one to end, but I'm going to do something. And everything that you see in the middle of that was really just off the top of my head as I was going page by page. I was like, well, what would look good on this page? And then I went back, and all the dialogue was again off the top of my head as I was scripting, as I was lettering things. So it was, but I look back and I'm like, I'm glad I did it, because then I got that passion to actually make comics, which is, for me, one of the things that still keeps me in is, even though I'm losing like money almost every year, is just the passion of creating and making stories. Probably like where you were like, I'm gonna write 30 chapters of Ace Blade, even though nobody's reading this. There's a passion inside of you just producing something, producing a story that I just couldn't stop. And from there, 6 issues of Shaman's Destiny, and then I was like, well, I finished this story. What do I do now? I still want to make it, and I just couldn't stop from there.
Wow, that's you really adapted that Marvel method of creating comics. Like,
hey, Stan Lee was an idol. I mean, shout out Stan Lee. He was one of the more influential people on my career as a comic creator. And then you're right, that Marvel method works when you're on your own. Now, when you're working with other people, it's not as easy. But when you're on your own and you can do whatever you want, it works pretty good.
I like it, man. I say whatever it takes to get it made is the goal for me. If you do it starting with the art, like I know I have an art friend, Wally McNair, who he literally will not write anything down. I struggle, we struggle working together sometimes because my method is so script heavy. Like I have to have a script and it has to go that way. But he's like, hey, if it looks good on the page, we'll make it work. And
and let's give Wally credit. He's the
co-creator of King Supreme. Yep.
King Supreme. All right, I got issue 1 of that. So.
Yeah, and Wally's great, man. He's I met him at that first comic book convention that I ever went to, and from then, like, I just saw his art, and I was like, man, I gotta know this guy. I gotta work with him. And from then, like 10 years later, we're still hanging on, even though we bump heads sometimes, and he has different ideas, but that's all a part of collaboration, I think.
Now, in your years of doing this now, do you feel like you work better with a team than if you had went on your own and did everything by yourself?
Man, sometimes, I don't know if you have this issue, but sometimes working with a team can be frustrating because things don't happen when you want them to happen all the time. So,
yeah, I know all about that right now. I'm still waiting on pages to be done for Saw issue 3, and I'm like, what is taking them?
You're not the only one waiting on it, buddy. I'm waiting on that too.
Is that you that keeps hitting that Kickstarter?
Remind me. Sending updates, sir. I need to know what's going on. No, but it's frustrating, but at the same time, it's I think it's good because you don't have to do everything. Like, our lives are busy enough. You got 10 kids at home. I got 4 kids at home, and
why I gotta have 10 kids? I have less kids than you do.
I mean, but you with them all the time, so it's different.
Okay.
Yeah. So
distance learning is a thing nowadays.
Legit. So, we got whole other priorities that we got to do. I work 40 hours a week, and my wife is trying to run a business. We have 4 children, and it's good not to have to draw every page of a comic. You know what I'm saying? That's something that would, if I had to do that, it would take Ace Blade literally 3 years, to come out with an issue. So, I'm thankful for the team that I have, but it can get frustrating sometimes.
I feel you. When I started, I started under a company name called Big Tree Comics, and then I brought in a couple friends of mine, and we were collaborating on all their books. I was helping them put it together, and it was fun because I was able to feed off ideas off of other people. But then that frustration, like you're mentioning, kicked in. It was like, well, why am I doing all this work and y'all aren't doing what I need you to do? You say you want to make comics and you want to do this, but then you're not really doing what I need you to do. Why am I just pushing you and you're not actually doing it? So I feel you on that. I mean,
man, I found
there are definitely times
I found it's hard. Like when you don't own something, when it's not your vision. Sometimes, and you're a different story because you own most of the stuff that you are making. But I find some artists it's just a job to them. Like, I need you to draw these pages. Okay, cool. Pay me and I'll draw them. And then you work with some artists who are just like, all right, I love this and I want to see it great, so I'm gonna put some passion into it. So it just depends on it's a lot of factors that go into it.
Now, out of all the books that you've created, what's your favorite book?
Oh wow. I think I love Ace Blade, but King Supreme is the first hero that I, literally built from the ground up, like from the idea to the, I hate Superman so much that I'm gonna make a hero that could beat him, and and from there to what is this guy's powers? What does he look like? Okay, let me find the artist, and then when we got that Zero book done, and then Wally was like, "Hey man, I like this character, but I have some ideas." And then we started talking and collaborating, and then I was like, "Man, you should really take ownership of this. Like I would give it to you, but it's it's the character first character that I ever created." And he was like, "Hey man, we can co-own it. We come up with an agreement, and was like, hey, now we co-own this character, and we're gonna do it together." So I think King Supreme is really my favorite comic, my favorite character. But Ace Blade is the foundation. So we gotta we gotta do that Ace Blade thing.
I think if we have titles for each of these podcasts, that's gonna be the title for for episode 1. I hate Superman so much I have to make a character to beat him.
Yo, I really did at that point. I hated Superman so much. Like his powers just, and I know this isn't that type of podcast, but his powers just changed so much. Like over the years, his powers adapt to whatever situation. And I was like, there's no reason for that. Like if there was a reason for his powers to adapt like that, then cool. But if you have a power set and then your weakness is kryptonite, yo, how can you fly holding a kryptonite mountain? How can you lift a kryptonite mountain out of the sea and throw it? Like, it just does not, and I know it's fantasy, but it just made me so angry at the time. I was like, man, this is ridiculous. I need to do something about this. I'm going to call my congressman. No.
No, please don't. We already have enough politics in comics.
Apparently.
Oh, man. No, I get it. I mean, for me, it's Wolverine. Mm-hmm. Wolverine has been one of those characters. I'm like, why is Wolverine so powerful? Dude has unbreakable bones, a healing factor that can go from, a bullet wound to healed in like a second. And apparently you can shoot him all in his chest repeatedly and he feels no pain. Right. And I'm like, why? Why do we make characters that strong? I mean, I love characters like that sometimes. And I get where they need to be in comics, but there's one of the reasons I like reading comics is because I want to be able to see this character get beat down and persevere over everything that's in front of them. I don't want to see them easily just fight through 20 guys and easily kill them off. I like Daredevil, the Daredevil Netflix series, and those famous hallway scenes. Those are great scenes because you saw him get his ass beat, and then he came back and beat them, and you could see the frustration and the exhaustion that he had as he was fighting them. It wasn't just an easy match for him. And I like stories like that.
Me too. I agree with you. And I like Wolverine, but just his characterization. Like I never really liked his power set, because like you said, it doesn't make sense. He's not a super soldier. He doesn't have the, what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense for him to be able to even carry adamantium. You know what I'm saying? Even to carry a skeleton of bones, like unless I missed something all these years, and that Weapon X program gave him super strength, it doesn't make sense. But
I mean, I know he's supposed to have like an enhanced strength to a degree, like he is stronger than most humans, but he's, like you said, he's not Superman, he's not Captain America. Yeah, he's like somewhere in between a muscle builder and
right.
I get you.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, but that's comics for you.
Yeah. So is that why you made Ace Blade have no powers? Because you wanted him to be able to get beat down?
No. I just thought that my favorite character. I like Batman a lot, of course, you know that. But my favorite characters are people who just fight based off of pure will. Like it's all about the decisions I make and not giving up. So Ace Blade is just a guy who refuses to give up and will. When Captain America did that, I can do this all day. That's the prime theme of Ace Blade. I can do this all day and I will not quit until the fight is over. So.
Okay. I feel you. I feel you on
So
that.
this Saw book that we're waiting on. Let's
Hey.
let the
Yeah,
people
what
get
about
a
it?
sneak peek. What can we expect in this book coming up?
Well, you can expect Saw getting her ass beat.
Okay.
Like I said, I like that story, and I know she got her ass beat in issue 2, but she and Danny really get beat down in issue 3.
Okay.
You can expect 3 deaths in issue
Okay.
3,
3 deaths.
and yeah, and I'm not a big person about bringing people back from the deaths, so these are probably gonna be permanent things. And I think one of the deaths is going to change the direction of what the story is going to be. Because I know a lot of people thought or have an idea of what this story is all about. And I think the deaths are going to show you that it's probably not what you thought it was going to be in the beginning.
Oh,
So
okay. I like that. I like the way that sounds.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I try to get some twists here and there. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But I'm trying to get some twists here.
How long do you see the series running?
This, it's weird because with Saw, I think this is my ongoing series. I have characters that are related to her universe, and it's like file on my Dropbox, and it's dozens and dozens of characters, supporting cast, villains. I have storylines for her, so this is my ongoing series. A lot of my other books are probably limited, like Ruby from Planet Oz. That's definitely a 6-issue series. I'm not going to go anything farther with that. But Saw is going to be my ongoing series. And I think mostly because people seem to gravitate towards her. They seem to like what I'm doing with that story. So I felt like I can continue with that. And for me, this is like Saw is like my Spider-Man series, where you get to see her progress from this teenager in a way to hopefully an adult in the future. And you're going to see her go through ups and downs just like you did Spider-Man. You're going to see her learn about her abilities just like Spider-Man does. So I love that part of what I'm doing with her.
Nice. I like Solomon, my favorite of your stable of comics. I look forward to it, and I still don't understand why Lord Eclipse is the way he is at this point. Why he's always naked, but hey, do you? But I think it's so visually appealing that it's one of those. Comics is a amazing format because like you can literally look at something and be like, oh, what is that? And then just that one picture of a cover, makes you read something, and then you start reading. You're like, oh, I do like this. And now, 20 years later, you're like, I want to make a bow staff like Donatello. It's amazing to me. So I'm looking forward to seeing Saab stick around for the next 50 years or so.
All right, I'll give you a little behind the scenes
about
Lord Eclipse being naked. And this is exclusive to anybody that's listening to the podcast. He originally was not supposed to be naked. What happened was when I was designing him, I always wanted the dark side Thanos type character, big bulking guy who's just intimidating looking, but he could throw it down if he needed to, and he had a little bit of powers here and there. I always wanted that. And then when issue 1 came out, I thought my designs were unique enough to where I wouldn't get comparisons to Thanos or Raven's. Oh God, what is Raven's dad's name? Trigon. Yeah. So I was like, I thought my design was unique enough to where I was like, okay, it doesn't look like either one of these, but you can still tell it's in that realm.
Now that you say Trigon, I can see what the eyes and stuff. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. And then like the first 2 conventions I went to with issue 1, and I had this great poster made by a friend of mine. His name is Michael Dorman. He drew it, and then King Bola is this amazing artist who did the colors on it. I had the poster out with Lord Eclipse on a throne, and it looked great. And everybody's like, "Oh, that's a cool Thanos." And I was like, "Why is everybody calling this Thanos?" And then it hit me. It's because it came out the same time that Avengers Infinity War came out. So everybody had Thanos on the brain.
Man.
And I was like, all right, damn it. And I kept saying, this isn't Thanos. This isn't Thanos. This isn't Thanos. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. issue 2, I'm going to go in and change his design. And but I was like, how do I have to throw in a reason of why he's changing. So I was looking at his armor and I was like, well, what about if his armor is just like a shackle to him? He's holding him back, it's restraining him. And I was like, all right, I'm going to play with that. And then I was like, I have to break the mold. And I would still want him big. But I was like, what can I do to make him look more different, but still have the same feel of the original Lord Eclipse from issue 1. So I was like, all right, I'm taking off all his clothes. And then he's already called Eclipse. I'm going to make him completely dark.
Oh, man.
And I was like, I just throw some spikes on there. Bam, different look. So that's the reason why. It's because of Thanos. He's naked.
I like it. That's a good. See, that's the real reason that I decided to join the podcast, is I wanted to get some behind the scenes on your comics. So, thank you all. Thank you all for listening. But this is going to be my last episode now. Thank you.
But I had so many more behind the scenes stuff to reveal, like how I write, like, you know, how I draw. You want all that stuff?
Okay,
too,
all
right?
right. I'll stick around.
Okay, all right. Well, okay, so I divulged a secret. I need you to one up me and give something to how many listeners are going to be listening to this?
I don't have. I mean, you know me. I'm an open book, man. All of my secrets are out there on Facebook now. I will say that the people who've read the comic know how Ace Blade's journey ends. I'll say that. The people who've read they think they know, but there's a.
Wait,
we'll say Ace Blade's journey is very finite and it's very short, but.
Oh no.
So we'll get to that bridge we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But you know,
no, you can't be throwing stuff out talking about it ends, man.
But I'll tell you this. You watch Dragon Ball Z, right?
Yeah. Well, I haven't watched everything of it, but yeah.
So I stole something from Dragon Ball Z to kind of extend. This is an Easter egg that a lot of people, you know, the novel has been out for a long time now, but I stole the sensu beans from Kami Plaza. Like, I literally Googled the address of Kami Plaza from the Dragon Ball Z series, and I put that in the book as an Easter egg, as a way to bring Ace Blade back when he eventually dies. So, when we do finally kill Ace Blade, there's an Easter egg embedded in the novel from 2012 that will give me an excuse to bring him back if I want to. So I'll throw that out there.
All right, see now, okay, this is not April 1st, so it's not April Fool's Day. So you better not be lying.
I'm not lying. I'm 100% serious. Like, right. I've been holding on to that one for a long time. So,
all right, man. Well, you heard, everybody listening, you heard this. Ace Blade dies. He comes back to life. I don't know if, like, Lumberjacks turns the world backwards like Superman and brings him back to life.
See,
or
that right there is exactly why I hate that dude. I'm like, how you just going to fly around the world fast enough to... Man, that don't make no sense. But, okay, cool.
All right, yeah, you're right. But you know what? Outside of that movie was good.
Yeah, it was solid. I mean, and it was solid in the moment. Like, for him to, I'm so angry. Let me fly off and reverse time, because that's not something I've ever done or practiced doing before. Like, at least in the Snyder Cut, they gave us that one. Hey, if I run fast enough, weird things happen to time. They didn't even give us that in that Superman movie. It was just like, I'm gonna fly and reverse time now. Okay. There's no kind of setup for that at all. But cool. All right.
Yeah, it was a little weird watching the mountain, like, reform itself, like, go backwards and reform. I was like, so gravity just went backwards too. Okay. All right.
This dude is too powerful.
I mean, if that's all it takes, you just keep doing that all the time and fix everything.
That's how Batman vs Superman started. He saw Bruce Wayne saw that movie. He was like, this dude can control time and gravity. Let me kill this dude.
All right, so I know that you're a huge anime fan. Your whole family seems like you are. What's your favorite anime?
Oh man, right now is My Hero Academia is taking my life over right now. I love My Hero Academia. I think it's the music though. Like the music of My Hero Academia is so emotional and it's so fitting and inspirational that it like pumps up every scene. And the characters are written so well. Like their themes always clash against each other. And I just love it. Like it's the next so Dragon Ball Z was my introduction in Ronin Warriors was my introduction into anime. Then Dragon Ball Z, and then
Whoa. Ronin Warriors is a great series, and if you have Amazon Prime or Prime Video, it's on Prime Video.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I watched the first 3 episodes just like a couple weeks ago. It doesn't hold up.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it doesn't. Yeah, but I remember
the
it being
animation
amazing.
is definitely 80s style, but that was a damn good series that doesn't get enough credit. Honestly,
that and Sailor Moon really, did it for me. Like those shows were better than Dragon Ball Z at the time, but because Dragon Ball Z had the longevity and they had Super Saiyans, they had characters that were transforming into literal gods. And then
okay, I'm glad you said that you actually watched Sailor Moon, because I can admit that I watched it too when I was younger.
Yeah,
and that was one of my first entries into the whole anime world. So thank you for breaking that ice. Now I don't feel.
Oh man,
I don't feel like
Sailor Moon was dope, and anybody who says otherwise is just lying. It's just lying, really.
Yeah.
I think that was
and that theme song was dope
absolutely. Too. One of my favorite indie rap artists, Dear Silas, he did a song called Sailor Moon where he even talks about that, like, people act like Sailor Moon wasn't great, but it was. Like, that was a show that I was watching as a teenage boy, and it was like, I know the show is for girls, but I really like it, so I'm gonna watch it anyway. But I'm not ashamed anymore. I got 4 kids. I've been married 15 years. Who else do I have to impress?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I tell my kids all the time, I don't care if I embarrass you. I got a wife already. Who am I trying to impress outside of her? No. All right. So My Hero Academia. All right. That's and it's great. We're watching that also. We just finished watching. What is that? I can't think. Black Clover. We watched that.
Oh
also.
yeah. Okay.
And then my kids and I have been watching Promised Neverland.
I've heard of that.
So we have like
your kids watch anime with you?
Yeah, we actually watch at least 2 episodes a day as like after dinner relaxation as a family.
Man, that's cool. My daughter, you got boys, right?
Yeah,
see, my oldest 2 are girls, and they will not watch certain shows with me because anime is weird as is. Some of that stuff,
and it's got some weird scenes sometimes that makes them embarrassed to watch it with you.
So I understand, my daughter's not wanting to watch certain shows with me, but they refuse. Like, they'll watch My Hero Academia with me, and they put me on the Assassination Classroom, which is it's that one gets kind of weird too, but they'll watch certain parts of it with me, and they'll be like, oh, you gotta watch this, but certain stuff, like, they'll literally leave the room for. And especially my oldest one, she watches so much anime that I just can't keep up. So it's like, I know she's watching some stuff, but she'll put me onto it whenever it's over, if she doesn't think she'll be too embarrassed, for me to know.
Have you watched Food Wars?
Food Wars? No, I haven't even heard of that.
Yeah. Go ask your kids if they want to watch Food Wars with you, and see what their reactions are. That's
terrible.
That one gets weird right off the bat.
Terrible.
It's yeah. That one gets weird right off.
My middle daughter just told me about one called Cells at Work, and one called
oh yeah, I've seen that one.
One called Haiku. We watched the first couple of episodes of Haiku.
Haiku, the
volleyball one. Yeah, I like that one. I think I'm gonna like that.
That one's good. Yeah. We actually watched that entire series. That I think season 3 is supposed to be coming out, or season 4.
Oh, nice. When I'm done with Assassination Classroom, I think that's only 2 seasons. So when I'm done with that, we'll probably watch Haiku.
Okay. Now, at any point, does anime, like, I know for me, anime sometimes slips into a lot of my comics when I'm making it. Does it do the same thing for you?
Oh yeah. I have like I already said, I'm heavily influenced by Goku and Dragon Ball Z and Naruto.
Yeah, that's true.
So
You talking about Ace Blade getting brought back to
My
life by
sense of being,
sense
yeah.
of being.
So there's.
You can get sued. Just
I
so
know,
you know.
that's why I shouldn't have said nothing, but but I think it's yeah, it definitely is. Like I have things in mind that are Super Saiyan ish for Ace Blade and King Supreme. There's some common themes there, especially like with the I don't know if maybe it's an anime trope, but you know they always have these tournament sagas, like the you know what I'm saying,
yeah.
like they have a battle or tournament. Like Naruto did it several times. Dragon Ball Z always does it.
My Hero Academia.
My Hero Academia too. So you know that's one thing that I got coming up for King Supreme. But yeah, I'm heavily influenced by that stuff because that was about as nerdy as I got in high school or in middle school and high school. Is that you know I would literally go to the store and buy VHS tapes of subtitled Japanese anime movies, like and watch them joints.
We used to rent them out every week at my house.
So you know, of course, that stuff is going to seep into my comics. What about I can kind of see the influence on Saab, but you know that's an Saw is what Asian, right?
Yeah, she's Asian. She's a Hmong, which is like Southeast Asian people. They really don't have their own country. They're like nomadic, but they're definitely like anime feels in there. But I'm really trying to keep it a very traditional comic, a very Americanized comic. I shouldn't say traditional comic, but a very American style comic. But they're, anime's been so huge in my upbringing in life that there are little slips here and there, mostly in the ways that the panels are going to be drawn and how I tell the artist to put things. I'll do things like that. But I'm like for Shaman's Destiny. A lot of the series I wanted to be I was watching Full Metal Alchemist at the time, and I love that dichotomy of the two characters just sort of bonding and having a goal with each other. So a lot of the series is sort of focused around that, and that's probably the biggest portion of anime that you're going to see in any of my books right now. I mean, I watched anime growing up, but still comic books were so huge that they probably over-influenced the anime side of me at this point.
Nice.
All right, so, dang, we're going a little bit longer than I thought we would.
Man, we just get to talking, man. It happens. We'll work on that.
We'll
work on that as we get more structure. It'll be better.
We're talking about things that we love, and I know you're probably short on time. So why don't we go ahead and I guess wrap it up for right now?
Okay. I'm cool with that.
All right. Let me see. Was there anything else you wanted to bring up at least for right now?
No, I mean this is a good episode. I mean, we'll next episode we'll get into more structured stuff and we'll have some better stuff. But I think it's a good introduction for people to
yeah.
I think that's cool.
No, I agree, and I think I'm going to try to get because this was our first introduction as this podcast. I want people to get introduced to us. So I think I'm going to talk to somebody, maybe see if we can get a guest on there. And then hopefully we can find out about them and what they like and things like that, but mostly find out about their process of creating comic books here. But before we go, I want to definitely make sure we get everything about our own personal works out there. So what are you currently working on?
Right now, still putting together that 5th issue of Ace Blade called Villain Season. And, Lumberjacks #2 is on Kickstarter right now. Power by any means.
Go support that.
It's a great comic. Morgan is a natural storyteller and his, I'm just glad that
he's a natural character.
Yeah, he really is. He really is.
Like your Super Shorts podcast, he really gets into that.
The voices, man, it's incredible.
Yes. He should go into voice acting.
I keep telling them that. And I just think, I think this Lumberjacks book is the best one so far. So I'm glad that it's almost funded and we're getting there. What are you working on?
All right. Well, I've got Saw issue 3. We're still working on. I think we have like 4 or 5 more pages to color at this time, and then we're going to lettering. I'm working on another artist for the relaunch of my Donner Lane series, which didn't fund Kickstarter last year, but we got something in the works in that. I think a lot of people will like it, and it's coming along pretty good. And then outside of that, I mean, I got other things that are in the back burner that I'm working on, but those are for the future right now. Those are the two major things, just Donner Lane and Saw Issue 3.
Nice.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for this episode. Thank you for everybody that's listening to this. Danny, I'm glad to have you as a partner. And where can we find all your work at this time?
You can find me at twoblerds1cup.com. I mean, wait a minute. That's not. I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from.
You see, but it fits. I mean, it works.
It just jumped out there. I didn't even mean to say that. No, at the Ace Blade on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
And if you don't follow him on TikTok, do it. He's like the king of comic TikTok right now. He has like 300 million followers, but he can always use a couple.
300 million. Hey, someday, maybe someday.
The way you're going, it'll be soon.
And what about you?
What about your website?
Oh, the website is www.fourthwallpros.com. And all of our links are there. So that's actually where you should go to check us out. What about you?
All right. For me, you can find me on Facebook. Website is facebook.com/TaurusComics. On Instagram and Twitter's @TaurusComics. And then my website is tauruscomics.com, where you can get all my books. You get digital or physical copies. You can even get some merchandise like sweaters, t-shirts, things like that, all through the website. But yeah, that's everything.
So you are coming back to Facebook then?
Man, I mean, Facebook is a weird.
You just
thing.
said it. You just said it on the podcast. So if you don't, then people are going to think that you're a liar, and you can't have that. So you have to be back on Facebook now.
But all right, I'm coming back to Facebook. I don't know how much I'll be coming back to Facebook, but I'll be there. Maybe just to show off my DC Universe Online characters. But I'm coming back to Facebook in a limited fashion.
Nice.
Is that okay? Is that fine
I'll
with
take
you?
that.
All right. All right, everybody. Well, I thank you for listening to the podcast. This is our first one, hopefully of many. As long as Danny's willing to do this, I'm willing to do it too. But please check us out. Our website right now is 4Tales Podcast. That's the number 4, then TALES podcast.com. We'll list all the links to the podcast there, and we'll also be able to find those on a lot of podcast platforms in the future, but more info for that to come. All right. So everybody, check you out, and thanks for listening.
Thank y'all. Bye.
I want to know what it is Quick is trying to say.